Welcome back to the abandoned post. Have you ever walked home late at night and felt the unsettling sensation of being watched? That prickling on the back of your neck, the whisper of footsteps echoing just behind you. In tonight's terrifying tale, one late night walk turns into a nightmare that will make you think twice about every shadow you pass. Before we dive into the story, let me know in the comments, where in the world are you listening from? I'm always curious to see how far these chilling tales reach. Now, turn off the lights, sit back, and prepare for the follower home. I never imagined I'd make it home alive. It's the kind of night I'll never forget, the kind that creeps into your dreams and never lets go. I'd been out late, finishing a project at work, cutting it close on time, and by the time I stepped out onto the quiet street, it was already well past midnight. The town was silent as a graveyard, and I felt only exhaustion and numbness, wanting nothing more than to reach my front door. I didn't even look over at first. My head was down, lost in thought, until I noticed him. On the far side of the street, maybe 50 feet away, a shadowy figure walked slowly, mirroring my pace. The street lamp behind him cast a flickering halo, revealing he was tall and lanky, bundled in a dark hoodie, with his face mostly obscured. The sight of him moving in my direction sent a jolt through my spine. My breath caught, my gut twisted. It could have been any stranger, just taking a late night walk, but something about him, the way he walked, and how he didn't lose sight of me, set all my nerves on edge. Streetlights buzzed overhead with that sickly yellow glow, their light flickering in and out. The sidewalks were empty, the houses on either side dark and silent, like the whole neighborhood was asleep. Each storefront was shuttered, every porch light off. It felt like I had stepped into a ghost town. It was past midnight, nearly 2 a.m. if I'm honest, and the silence was suffocating. I could hear nothing but my own breathing, and it echoed hollowly off the asphalt as I walked. Even the slightest sound, a distant dog barking, a car's engine humming far away, the rustle of leaves in the wind, echoed in the stillness, making the night feel even more oppressive. I tried not to let it get to me. I told myself it was just a coincidence, that maybe he was on his way somewhere else entirely, heading the same direction by chance. But every time I glanced over my shoulder, he'd taken another step forward on the opposite curb. If I crossed to the other side, he crossed too. If I turned down a block, he'd turn with me. His eyes were locked on me, cold and unblinking. Even from that distance, it felt intentional, like he knew exactly where I was going. I felt panic rising inside me, like a wave cresting. My knees even threatened to buckle beneath me. Every nerve in my body screamed. My phone was in my hand already, screen unlocked. I was tempted to call someone, anyone, but who would believe this? The only person I could call was fast asleep at home. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I forced myself to stay calm and think, why was this happening? My vision narrowed, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst through my ribcage. Adrenaline coursed through me, limbs trembling. I mentally cursed myself for walking home, alone so late, hood up, face in shadow under the street lamp's dim light. I could only make out the contours of him. He moved slowly, casually, almost relaxed, but when he turned his head to follow me, I swear I saw just the edges of eyes that were too dark and cold. The way he walked, steady, unhurried, gave me chills. There was a strange calmness in him, like he was in total control, and I was the one on display. His boots were heavy, making soft thuds on the concrete. He moved with a calm stride, not in any rush, which only creeped me out more. I slipped off the curb and started jogging, just a little quicker, nothing obvious, hoping to lose him. My heart was pounding like a jackhammer. As soon as I sped up, he did the exact same. His footsteps echoed mine on the other side of the street. It was proof he was literally matching every move I made. This was no accident. I spun around mid-stride, willing myself to yell or at least see his face, and he did the exact same. He met my eyes with a slow, eerie smile, fingers curling at the edge of his hoodie. For a moment, I was sure he was saying "gotcha" without a word. Then he turned and disappeared behind a hedgerow on the corner. I slammed on the brakes, came to a halt, and he was gone. I froze, breathing heavy, ears straining. For a split second, I thought, maybe I lost him. I remained frozen for what felt like ages, chest heaving, and heartbeat thundering in my ears. The street was empty now. No footprints behind me, no shadow of his presence. I wiped sweat from my brow and took a few cautious steps forward, forcing myself to walk again, calm and steady. My mind was racing. Had he really vanished, or was this part of his game? I glanced over my shoulder and saw nothing. My body was slick with sweat. I made myself keep moving, but every shadow jumped at me. Every sidewalk crack looked like a hazard. I risked a glance ahead. The sidewalk stretched on with no cars in sight, just a single corner light flickering. There I spotted a shortcut, a narrow alley between two houses that would cut a block off my route. Desperate, I darted toward it. For a moment I thought I'd outsmarted him. I spotted the entrance to the alley and dove into it, sprinting down the narrow gap as fast as my legs could carry me. My lungs burned and sweat stung my eyes. But almost immediately, I heard it behind me, the unmistakable sound of footsteps, low and urgent, following my every move. I glanced over my shoulder just as I turned and saw the figure a few feet behind me, still matching my pace. It was like he was connected to me by some invisible string. My blood ran cold. He was right on my heels. My panic transformed into raw fear. My legs pumped like pistons, and I could feel my lungs burning with each gasp of air. I burst out of the alley, onto the quiet residential street, the familiar yellow porch light of my house just ahead. Pure adrenaline drove me. I lunged at the metal gate of my front porch, ripped it open, and scrambled up the stairs. My body felt like it was shaking apart. The keys in my hand jingled wildly as I fumbled them into the lock. My palms were slippery around the doorknob. Every key felt like it was coated in oil. I jabbed one into the lock and twisted as hard as I could until I heard that wonderful click of the door latch releasing. I yanked the door open and practically threw myself inside. I slammed the door behind me and immediately turned and locked it. Then I dead-bolted it on reflex, nearly hyperventilating. For an instant, I thought I was safe, but then I heard it, a low inhalation, a deep, slow breath on the other side of the wood. I pressed my back against the door and froze. My hands went numb on the knob. The lock felt like ice in my hand. The sound, a deep, deliberate breath, was like cold wind on the back of my neck. I held my breath too, trying to listen. The minutes crawled by. Every muscle in me ached from adrenaline and fear as I sat back against the door. Outside the door, every few seconds that same deep, ragged breath came. Inhale, pause, exhale, longer pause. It was like a metronome of horror. I wanted to run, to hide somewhere, to do anything, but I dared not move a muscle. I just sat there, listening to him breathe. The sound was so close, so real. It felt as if he had his mouth pressed against the wood. Every creak of my own floorboard made me flinch, thinking he might be on the other side. Minutes passed like this, and still all I heard was his breathing and the echo of my own heartbeat. I could feel the tension in my muscles finally fading as I realized he had stepped away. Eventually I peeled myself off the door, and slid down to the floor in the hallway. Every part of me was shaking, teeth chattering, sweat still damp on my skin. I locked every other door and window in the house until I was sure this place was a fortress. My phone was in my hand the whole time. I kept dialing 911 by mistake, but I couldn't force myself to speak. I stared into the darkness of my living room, unable to move, not sure what to do next. Dawn was still hours away, but time passed so slowly that when the sky began to lighten, my mind was already exhausted. To this day, I still jump at every odd sound at night. The heavy breathing just outside my front door taught me fear in a way I never knew. I haven't forgotten it. I suspect I never will. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, terrified. Every creak or shadow makes me flinch, expecting to see that stranger's face. Some nights I swear I feel his breath in my dreams, that same heavy rhythm and that heavy breathing right outside my door. It echoes in my mind every time the night is silent. It's the sound that has stayed with me, clear as a bell, ever since. And to this day, I still can't shake the feeling that he's out there, somewhere waiting for the next lonely soul to follow home. Every creak in the house, every shadow that lingers too long outside my window brings me back to that night, the heavy breathing just beyond the door. If you enjoyed this chilling true story and want more terrifying tales that keep you up at night, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. And remember, you never know who's watching or who might be following you home. Stay safe out there.